Hello, everybody, wherever you are in the world. Yours truly, Pastor Mackenzie Cambisi, Progress on Purpose. And I just want to share with us as we get into this new week. This is a great week for us to keep moving, for us to keep believing, for us to be more on the path toward where God is taking us. So I want to share with us something real quick, real good for your encouragement. This is something to throw in your bag as you make more progress, as you progress on purpose in 2021. The goal is for us to be better than what we were in 2020. So, my friend, as you journey on, I want to congratulate you that you are still in the land of the living. And with that, as long as you're alive, there is incredible hope for you and I to become everything that God created us to be. And that we are going to continue to be pushing that we become. So I just want to talk to us today. I want to coach on being productive on purpose, being productive on purpose, being productive on purpose. That's what we want to share. Please, we just want to get in and get some things going here, some good stuff. Being productive on purpose. Life is so much stuff that will either work for you or work against you. And so with all these things coming at us, some personal, some professional, then the question becomes, how do I become productive? How do I stay productive on purpose? If that is you, then let's get into it and get it going. Father, give us wisdom to understand. Amen. All right, I'm going to use one verse here from Ecclesiastes chapter. We're going to use Ecclesiastes chapter 11 and verse 4 is our launch pad for being productive on purpose. Being productive on purpose. Ecclesiastes chapter 11 verse 4 says, "He who observes the wind will not sow. He who observes the wind will not sow. And he who regards the clouds will not reap." All right? Very powerful, practical, and relevant principle. He who observes the wind will not sow. And he who regards the clouds will not reap. We're talking of an issue of productivity, being productive. If you look at the wind, look at the conditions, look at the climate, you'll not do what you're supposed to do. So to you and I, here we go. How do I stay productive? How can I be productive on purpose? This is what we're talking about. Not accidental productivity or, but we're talking about intentional productivity. I'm so glad you're coming in. Please share with friends, invite them that we are on. Yes, number one, I've got 7 principles that I'm going to share with you based on this one text. He who observes the wind will not sow. He who regards the clouds will not reap. All right, number one, if you are to be productive on purpose, you must transcend the trivial. You must transcend the trivial. In other words, you must rise above the small stuff. All right? Learn to rise above the small stuff. Transcend the trivial. All right? If you're going to be productive on purpose, the text says, "He who observes the wind will not sow, and he who regards the clouds will not reap." Wind and clouds. If you make those things major things in your life, you will not be productive on purpose. So number one, transcend the trivial. What is it? That small stuff. There's a book I read years ago that says don't sweat the small stuff, and it's all small stuff. So if we are going to be productive on purpose, life is going to happen to you. The wind is going to come, the clouds are going to come. But if you are to be productive on purpose, you must transcend the trivial, rise above the small stuff. And there's a lot of small stuff. I mean, there's so much emotional, physical, spiritual, mental, financial. You must transcend the trivial for you to be productive on purpose. Number 2, stay in your lane. If you're going to be productive on purpose, learn to stay in your lane and out of other people's business. All right? Stay in your lane and out of other people's business. All right? I like this text. It says, he who, it's one, it's you. You. If you're going to be productive, you're 100% responsible for your productivity. I just want you to understand, whatever you bring to the table, learn to stay in your lane. Stay in your lane and out of other people's business. If you're going to be productive on purpose, stay out of other people's business. Stay in your lane. All right. In other words, God is a reason for your season. If you are in the season of sowing, God is with you. If you're in the season of reaping, because when you look at that verse, it talks about when it comes to sowing, don't observe the wind. When it comes to reaping, don't observe the clouds. So in other words, stay in your lane. God has a reason for your season. God has that. So if you're going to be productive on purpose, my friend, you must stay in your lane and out of other people's business. When you shouldn't know too much about what's going on with everybody. That's too much time. I don't have time to gossip. I don't have time to be negative on what's going on in your life. There's so much going on in my life. And what I've learned, in order for me to be productive with what's going on in my life, I must stay out of other people's business. Just stay out of it. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Stay out of other people's business. Stay in your lane if you're going to be productive on purpose. Number three, stop taking everything personally. Stop taking everything personally. We're talking of being productive on purpose. All right? The verse says, he who observes the wind will not sow. He who regards the clouds will not reap. Okay? In other words, don't take everything personally. Okay? The wind has nothing to do with you. The clouds have nothing to do with you. But it says but you are important in the equation, where the wind will blow from wherever the wind wants to blow from. The clouds will gather from wherever the clouds want to gather from. Stop taking everything personally. Some of the things that happens in your life is just life. You can be productive on purpose when you know that life is life, and life happens to all of us. Is that all right? Life happens to all of us. Don't take everything personally. Please don't. If something doesn't go right, don't just think that it's you. There's something you've done wrong. You should have done something else. You should have known things. If you are going to be productive on purpose, you need to stop taking everything personally. All right? There's so much to your life that you do not control. So much to your life that you do not control. And yet you are 100%, you are the CEO of your life. All right? Decisions that you make in the now. All right? It matters. So stop taking everything personally. Okay? It helps you to rise above your emotions, because if you're going to be productive on purpose, you can't be productive on purpose intentionally when your emotions are in competition with your mind and decisions that you must make for you to be productive. And then number 4, walk in obedience to God. Walk in obedience to God rather than people's opinions. Walk in obedience to God rather than people's opinion. What does that mean? Well, the text says, he who observes the wind will not sow, and he who regards the clouds will not reap. There are two things that should happen here. There's a sowing season, there's a reaping season. And when you look at the sowing season and the reaping season, God controls all the seasons. So whatever season you are in your life, whether it's the sowing season, whether it's the reaping season in your life, you must understand that seasons are controlled by God. Even the seasons in your life right now, whatever season you're in, God still has this. God still controls all the seasons of our life. So walk in obedience to God rather than people's opinions if you are to be productive on purpose. See, when you walk in obedience to God rather than people's opinions, you are going to, you'll not allow your fears to define your present. And when your fear define your present, they limit your future. Okay, so it really matters. Walk in obedience to God rather than people's opinion in order for you to be productive on purpose. All right, because all seasons of your life, whether it's the sowing season, is the reaping season, God controls all seasons. All right. So when I walk in obedience of God rather than people's opinion, because people's opinion will feed my fears. But obedience to God is literally going to feed my faith. All right. So when I walk in obedience to God, I'm going to starve my fears so that they don't define my present, thereby limiting my future. And then number five is very important, if you are going to be productive on purpose. Because this is what I've discovered. I want you to understand there's so many, it's amazing when you think about it, that God, most people, you are most productive in your life when you are under pressure. Thank you, Pastor Chandler, one of the greatest California bishops, a great friend, anointed man of God, just talking about being productive on purpose. You see, if you are going to be productive on purpose, you must transcend the trivial. You must transcend the trivial. And number two, you must stay in your lane, out of other people's business. Number three, stop taking everything personally. Ecclesiastes 11 verse 4 says, he who observes the wind will not sow, and he who regards the clouds will not reap. In other words, everything is perfect. Every season, time you are in, you can be productive in it. Okay, you can be productive in it. If we're intentional enough for us to transcend the trivial, you're going to discover God controls all the seasons of your life. Whether it's the sowing season, it's the reaping season, there are principles that work in both of those seasons. Here's number five. Number five, if you are to be productive on purpose, starve yourself of the need for constant validation. If you're going to be productive on purpose, you need to starve yourself, all right? Starve yourself, diet yourself of the need for constant validation. Many of us are not as productive as we could be. Not that God hasn't given us the gift, not that God hasn't given us what it takes for us to go over the hump, but we are so addicted to constant validation. All right. If I were going to, the prayer, Jesus' prayer, the one he taught us to pray that delivers from evil, I believe for me, that part, it's not the evil. It's as if I'm going to ask God to deliver me from people. There are so many people in this world who are not productive because they are waiting for constant validation. And let me tell you something, my friends. People always celebrate you when when you have made it. It's amazing how everybody knows your story. Everybody claims to be your friend. Everybody wants to walk around with you when you have made it. But in order for you to make it, you must starve yourself of the need for constant validation. Okay, David had no validation before he killed Goliath. Joseph had no validation till he becomes second to Pharaoh. And I've discovered when you look at it, even Jesus the Christ didn't have people come in and just push him. Oh, Lord, go there. We'll get it done. You'll save us. You need to be delivered from your constant need for validation if you are to be productive on purpose. So my prayer is, Lord, deliver me from people. Because I've discovered the same people who shouted Hosanna on Palm Sunday are the same people who literally were crucifying and spitting and saying all kinds of stuff by the time Jesus got to the cross. People change. Let me tell you that. People change. And don't hold it against people. It's just human for people to be inconsistent. It is what it is. The only person who is the same and consistent is God. Did you hear what I said? God is the same yesterday, today, and forever. Everybody else changed. People gotta change because they are people. And God is God, and He is the faithful constant in your life. All right? So you must starve yourself of the need for constant validation if you're going to be productive on purpose. All right, number six. Number six is very good. I love number six. It's really good. Use your setbacks. Here's what the text says. Ecclesiastes 11:4. He who observes the wind will not sow. He who regards the clouds will not reap. All right. So setback, wind, setback, clouds. Okay, here's the point now for you to be productive on purpose. Use your setbacks as motivation for your comeback. If you're going to be productive on purpose, learn to use your setbacks as motivation for your comeback. You ready for this? It matters for you to do that, my friend, because if you do, it's going to take you to a place where you want to be. Use your setbacks. If you're to be productive on purpose, use your setbacks as motivation for your comebacks. Why, Pastor Kambezi? All right. I started laughing because this one took me to a place where I grew up, where sometimes, my mother would ask me to go in and do some gardening of her flowers, and sometimes I wouldn't want to do it. And how many of us know, I didn't want to do it, but it was mother. I had to do. So there are moments when you would get in and you're trying to pull out the weeds. You end up kind of pulling up the flower too, so that the roots are up and it wilts, and sometimes you step on the flower because the attitude is not right. And here's what I discovered. I discovered in my stubbornness of stepping on my mother's flowers, I learned this lesson, and I'm going to use it as an illustration for number 6. Use your setbacks as motivation for your comeback. All right, here it is. I discovered that even flowers grow back after they've been stepped on. So will you. All right, a wind is going to come, the clouds are going to come, but even flowers grow back even after they've been stepped on. So use your setbacks as motivation for your comeback, and you're going to be productive on purpose. So whatever it is that's setting you back, instead of us standing there and having excuses, because here's where the kicker is. It's very easy for all of us to have excuses. It's very easy to have justifiable excuses. Be careful of justifiable excuses, because justifiable excuses are enemies of productivity. Okay? In other words, when you sit back and you say, yeah, this happened to me and that's why I cannot do because this is not lining up and things are not what they're supposed to be. Let me tell you something. Nobody has it all. Work with what you got. You can do something with what you got. You can be productive. Even in the storm, every season demands production from you and I. It don't matter how bad it is. It don't matter how limited it is. There's something good in every season, and we can be productive on purpose. All right? And here's number 7, then I'm out of here. Here it is, Ecclesiastes 11:4. He who observes the wind will not soar. He who regards the clouds will not reap. In other words, there's an acknowledgement that whilst you're productive, whilst you are on it, there will be some winds blowing. All right? Don't take everything personally. You can't control the wind. Whilst you're about to reap this harvest that you have, there will be some clouds somewhere. And don't you look up in the sky and miss on what's in front of you because you're looking at what might and what may, instead of you digging in and being productive on purpose. My friends, the last one is that you got to make up your mind. Make up your mind to be productive. Make up your mind to be productive. If you're going to be productive on purpose, you must simply make up your mind. You must just make up your mind, I am going to be productive. It's a decision, no feelings on this. I'm going to be productive on purpose. I am going to make up my mind to be productive. Make a decision on it. So, my friend, I'm so excited that you came this way. Progress on purpose. 7 principles of that will assist you and I to be productive on purpose. How to be. Number 1, we got to transcend the trivial. All right, rise above small stuff. And it's all small stuff. It doesn't matter what it is. It's all small stuff. You got to learn to rise above it. You got to learn to rise above it. Because if you try to wait for a perfect timing, there will never be perfect timing. And my friend, every opportunity has got an expiration date. You don't want the opportunity to expire because you are still caught up in the small stuff. So transcend the trivial stuff. Number 2, stay in your lane. Stay in your lane. You are not the wind. You are not the cloud. Stay in your lane. What is the lane, Pastor? If I am sowing, that's my lane. Stay in your sowing lane. Well, listen, what if I'm ripping? Well, that's your lane. Stay in your lane and out of other people's business. Okay? Ecclesiastes says, he who sows, observes the wind, will not sow. He who regards the cloud will not reap. You are not the cloud. You are not the wind. You stay in your lane. Your lane, your lane, your lane, and out of other people's business. Because God is a reason for your season, and God controls all seasons. All right? And then number 3, stop taking everything personal. Don't be personal about everything. Don't stop taking everything personally. I mean, you cannot. Life is life. If you keep on growing and if you keep on leaving, stuff is going to happen that, listen, the more God trusts you, the more stuff is going to hit you because the enemy is going to fight every blessing God has in you is going to get the attention of hell. And when it does, my friend, you got to learn not to take stuff personally. At some point, you need to have thick skin if you're going to be productive on purpose. And number four, walk in obedience to God rather than people's opinions. Yeah, because when you do that, it'll make sure that your fears don't define your present, thereby limiting your future. And then number five, starve yourself of a need for constant validation. This has destroyed many dreamers and has made so many people, lose and lack productivity because you're waiting on somebody else to give you that. Validation matters. It is important when it comes, but you need to stop the need of constant validation, because God is going to do a new thing with your life, which those around you will never catch up with it till it's done. And let me tell you something, my friend, I'm learning that everything is easily understandable when it's done. Once it's done, everybody understands it because there's stuff to study. There's a context to look at before you believe it. But if you are to do something original with your life, you need to understand that there's going to be a lot of naysayers, doubters, because it has never been done. And that's what human beings do, by the way. Don't punish them for being human. You need to starve yourself of the need for constant validation. And number six, use your setbacks as motivation for your comebacks. And like I told you, after stepping on my mother's flowers, when she asked me to do some gardening for her, I learned a very basic lesson that flowers grow back even after they've been stepped on. Good news, so will you. Be productive. And number six, make up your mind to produce. Let's make up our mind. Listen, 2021, we are not going forward by accident, but we need to go forward intentionally on purpose. Blessings on you, my friend, as you pick yourself up